One morning, Edward went at the junction, waiting for Toby. Edward had become good friends since they met each other years ago. "Hello, Edward. This is a surprise," he said as Edward arrived at the station. "The Fat Controller wanted me to help at the junction for a while. He told me the trucks needed to be arranged for the engines." Then Thomas the tank engine, who was having a rough day, arrived angrily. "So will you two dawdle about all day while I'll shunt the trucks?" Edward and Toby looked at each other laughing. They knew that Thomas was slightly too big for his wheels. "Of course not. We wouldn't dream that you did all the work alone." "I hope so." "I need to go to the quarry. Now bye-bye." And Thomas drove away. And soon the two engines were at work. It takes great coordination to shunt trucks, but I think you already knew that. You may not be teaching this old engine new tricks, but it sure is fun to watch. The two were interrupted again when Thomas came in fuming. Thomas, seeing that they hadn't finished with the old set, was annoyed. "Your old engines are so unreliable. You'd be more useful if you shunted the trains. I could do my job and this job." Edward and Toby were offended, and then Toby had an idea to pay Thomas out, and so he told it to Edward. "Very well, we'll change positions." "Ah, yes, this is fine." And the engines went to work. Edward and Toby went to the quarry while Thomas was going to shunt. Thomas realized his work was over his head. He was in a rush, which made him frustrated. As he put the trucks in line, he realized he had to take the truck behind it. Soon Thomas realized he was going to be late with his passenger train, so he scampered off. As he left, Edward and Toby arrived. And as they saw Thomas's job, it was in a mess. "Had a feeling this would happen." Edward easily understood what Toby meant. "Come on, Edward, let's show what us old engines could really do." Then Toby and Edward took out the trucks, and they did the work properly compared to Thomas, who did a rather poorly job. They made sure all the trucks were arranged properly. Thomas, meanwhile, arrived with Annie and Clarabelle. As he approached, he saw how marvelous the yard was, and was quite impressed. He was staring at it rather interestingly, when suddenly, "What catched you, eh?" Thomas jumped, not knowing that the two old engines were listening. He wanted to speak, but he didn't have the breath to do it. Edward and Toby smirked at each other. "I only suppose that us old-timers are really reliable after all. Wouldn't you agree?"